Starting Forex from zero is scary. I know because I've been there. But what if I told you with the right plan you could skip all those common beginner mistakes and actually start making progress coming into 2026? In the next few minutes, I'll break down exactly what I'd do if I had to start from scratch again. I know what it's like, guys. I've been in that situation. Maybe you've lost accounts. Maybe you're inconsistent. Maybe you had a good few months, but you've wasted and lost all that profit and returns. And you're starting from zero going to 2026. Sometimes that's the best thing to do. Start scratch and come into 2026 with a plan. And this is the plan. The first step I'd take is I'd actually, especially if you're new, is I'd spend weeks learning how price moves. You know, there's many ways to understand how price is moving, mainly price action I would study. But you might hear fundamentals, technicals, which one should I study? I personally would spend weeks learning how price moves, mainly price action, understanding market structure, you know, identifying what phase of the markets we're in, candlestick patterns, and all that, because that gives you a good baseline to build a strategy. So yeah, as I mentioned, why and how price moves from A to B, because at the end of the day, all you're doing is predicting whether something's going to go up or down. And if you can understand why and how it's moving at those particular areas, from up to down or down to up, whatever bias you have, that's where you can create a plan and understand how to have a profitable system. There's lots of free value on YouTube. Obviously, I've been documenting my journey on here and I offer very good free value, but there's lots of other YouTubers that are consistent and that can help you for free, so you don't have to spend any money. And yeah, one thing I would say is look for the people that are consistent despite the amount. You know, there's no good seeing someone that has one good month and then hasn't had any good months after that, or people that are showing flashy things. A lot of these people that are marketing themselves in a certain way, not all the time, but you just have to be aware. Sometimes they can be red flags because they're trying to sell you a lifestyle as opposed to the actual information that can get you consistent results. What I wouldn't do is I wouldn't buy and save up for any challenges until I actually had a trading plan. A lot of people come into the markets and see FTMO, other big prop firms where, you know, you can get 100k capital for £500 or £400, and they're thinking, wow, if I have 100k and I make a couple of percent, I'm making 2,000-3,000 in a month. If you haven't got a plan and not consistent, you're just going to be wasting your money. You need to learn the skill and then the money will come. And that's what I'm doing. I'm documenting my journey of getting consistent, which I've got consistent this year, and then getting funded, and then eventually into 2026 getting payouts and showing all that. But it takes a lot of time, and it can be a long process, but very rewarding, especially if you get consistent. I wouldn't be fooled for the quick, easy marketing, as I mentioned. The images like this, they're just massive red flags with money on the table, you know, guy. It just screams scam, and you just have to be aware of that. I would avoid paying for communities to begin with. Now, communities are great, and I sort of wish I got into them quicker, but I'm saying if you had no money and you're starting from scratch, if you had no money, I'd learn for free and then save up for a community where you can learn from like-minded people, an actual strategy that has produced consistent results. Because for a long time, I spent a lot of time researching all these different strategies on YouTube, but didn't actually fundamentally have one. So I wouldn't learn lots of different strategies, because it can end up, you can have sort of analysis paralysis where you're looking at one thing and you see on one time frame for one strategy to buy, another strategy to sell. You want to stick with one thing. So I would get into a community if you have money, but if you don't, then save up to get into some kind of community and learn from people who you want to be like. Don't over leverage. You know, don't think about how much you can make. Don't think about how much I can flip my account to or how quick I can get a funded account. Think about how much you can afford to lose. And think about slow, consistent growth over the long term, not crazy returns, because that's what you hear. People that start trading in a couple of months, they're the anomaly, and they scale their account hundreds of percent, and it's not realistic. And the chances are you won't do that, or if you do, you might end up blowing it because you get overconfident. And like as I mentioned, stop looking at loads of different traders. Find one type of person or a group, you know, not just one in particular, but a certain group or characteristics of some certain traders. Maybe they're transparent and honest, and whatever that may be, real. Maybe you like the people on there, and stick with them and watch them. Don't get so heavily into Instagram and all these different traders, because it can blindside you. You can get distracted and see what they're doing. You need to focus on yourself, your style, and build that foundation. If you guys are getting value from this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Obviously, I've been documenting my journey on here, 61% of you are not subscribed. We're trying to hit 7K by the end of the year. We're a few hundred off. So if you guys could help me out, trying to give you some good value, I'd appreciate it a lot. So the actual start. So once you've got that foundation, this is exactly what I would do. Choose one strategy that fits your lifestyle. This is massively important. There's no good learning a lower time frame scalping strategy if you've got a 9 to 5. You can do it, but it's harder because you've got to be more active on the charts. Maybe a swing trading style or a hybrid day trading style where you're mainly looking at higher time frames would be more beneficial. But if you have time, you can do that. So look for something that's actually going to fit your lifestyle and where you can execute the plan. Once you have a plan and a strategy, backtest it for yourself so you have confidence and actually have proof of an edge. So this is my style. You can see, and I have tangible rules, and I can actually backtest this system so that I can have data. And the data gives me confidence that if I keep doing these steps, obviously history doesn't always repeat. History does repeat itself, but you don't know for how long. So you have to bear in mind each trade. It's a risk. Trading is risky, but if I have good data to suggest every time I do a certain thing, it's happened in the past, and this is my strike rate, this is my win rate, everything like that, it can build confidence to execute. There's no good going into the markets executing something that you're not confident in, that you think is just a gamble and it's just luck. You want something that has back-tested data, systematic approach, and that you know has produced consistent returns over the long term, not for 1 week or 1 month, but for years, and that gives you confidence when executing in the future. Trade it on a small account or funded demo. There's no good, like I said, jumping straight into these funded accounts. Even if you got lucky and passed it with high risk and in a couple of trades, the chance of you getting consistent payouts over the long term is slim because you're not consistent yet. So trade it on a small account. I traded on a £500 account, risked 1%. So I was risking £5 per trade. It was just for me to have a little bit of money at play, but not too much where I would, if I lost it, it wouldn't be ideal, but it wasn't a deal breaker. Or do it on a funded demo. Sign up for a prop firm and do the challenge on the demo. So you can do that for free, and you can just sign up and trade it like it would be a challenge, and it can give you confidence in executing your plan, and you can see your results. Once you've got consistent, maybe 3 months of results, then you could look to scale. Maybe do the actual challenge or trade a bit larger capital. I would suggest maybe doing the challenge because, again, especially early on, it's not your money at stake. Yeah, you have to pay for the evaluation, but you can get real large amount of capital for a small amount, and it's not too much risk. If you lose it, it's not great, but you can manage that. So that's the start I would do. Choose one strategy, backtest it, get data on a live test it, or forward test it on a small account, demo account, and then once you got consistent, maybe do one challenge, a small challenge, or small amount of capital. Simple strategy I'll give you guys now, just for free value, this is literally my style. Obviously, it's not everything, but it's pretty much the foundation. So I look for a daily supply and demand zone at key level. I identify a higher time frame phase. So what phase are we in? We can clearly see we're ranging at this point, but are we in an upward trend or a downward trend, or are we ranging? We're at the top of the range. This is a trade that I actually took. You would have seen in a couple of videos ago, I was documenting my funded journey. This was the trade that we took. And then I'll look for a trend change. So I want to see, once we've got our direction and we think the market's going to go down, I'll look for a trend change on the 1 hour. So we get a clear breakdown, lower low formed in the market. Again, understanding market dynamics, that's the first stage of learning. But yeah, breakdown, retest of the 0.382 1 hour 50 moving average for a clear trend change, stop above the 618, target any key support and resistance level or how far you want to push it, but key support and resistance, or a set rule of 2 to 1, 1.5 to 1, 3 to 1, whatever that may be for you. But that's the entry criteria: break and retest, and using the daily time frame as a bias to suggest which direction we're going in. And that's the style I have, and I've got tangible rules: break and retest of the 1 hour 50.382 and daily higher time frame narrative. I can backtest that, I can get data on that, and that gives me confidence when executing. The 2026 edge. So coming into 2026 and the end of 2025, everyone is always looking for the next best strategy. The amount of people that talk to me about trading and say, well, what's your strategy? I've literally just given most of my strategy away, but that won't in itself make you consistent. That in itself won't make you consistent. I've been trading this type of style for years, but it's only been this year when I've got consistent, because you become the edge alongside your strategy. For many, many years, I didn't think it was a negative thing, but I'd be going out with my friends at a weekend, having drinks, feeling good, not seeing any negative side effects until the next morning where I was a bit tired, or I'd miss my alarm by half an hour. I wouldn't go to the gym. I wasn't disciplined outside of trading, so I wasn't able to execute my strategy in a disciplined way. But as I got into the last couple of years where I've started to improve and see results, especially into this year, being in shape, getting to being disciplined outside of trading massively helped me. So again, there isn't one best strategy. There's many, many strategies that you can trade in the markets. It's about understanding your edge and your data and you becoming the edge alongside your strategy. There's the best strategies in the world, but if you can't execute it because you're not disciplined, you're taking poor setups because you're fear of missing out or you're not patient enough, they're all going to impact your results. So it's the myth. I thought strategy is everything. And of course, it's massively important. You have to have an edge. Without the edge, you can be the most disciplined person in the world. You're not going to get consistent results because you don't have an edge. There has to be both. You become the edge alongside your actual trading edge. And that's what you need to focus on in 2026. The mistake that cost me years, literally, you would have seen the most recent video I put out, maybe. If you haven't, go check it out. It was 8 years ago. I wasted 8 years, or I failed for 8 years. I've been trading for such a long time, even this similar style, but the mistake that cost me so many years, and it would have saved me years if I knew this, was sticking with a system long enough to see the edge. I would always, even with the current style that I'm with now, after a few losses, I'd be scrolling on social media a bit. Oh, I've took a loss again. Having these negative talk in my head. Oh, does trading work? Oh, I'm down on my account. I'm down for the month. I'm on my 3rd loss now. Now I'm on my 4th loss in a row. Oh, then I'm on social media and I see some guy trading who's apparently made 5% today or 7% last month. And I'm thinking, maybe I should trade his style. So I see a video breakdown and I start changing things. So for the next couple of weeks, I'm not even looking at my current strategy, my set rules. I'm looking on a different time frame, a different currency pair, a different entry altogether. And in the meantime, while I'm doing that, I'm missing out on winning positions for my current strategy because I've stopped trading it. And then I just was in this cycle. I'd trade that style for a bit, have some winners, have some losers, and then I'd start losing on the new strategy. So I'd go back to my original one or I'd go to something else. And this strategy hopping thing completely cost me so many years because I didn't have full confidence in myself at that point. So anytime I took a couple of losses, had this self-doubt. So I'd end up swapping strategies and changing things or tweaking my own one. You have to remember, good trades aren't always winners and bad trades aren't always losers. If you take a loss, but it was exactly part of your trading plan, that is a good trade. And a bad trade isn't always a loser. Yeah, a bad trade aren't always losers. Like, if you take a loss in trading, sometimes you can think, oh, I did something wrong. But if it was part of your plan, then you've done everything correct. Good trades, you think, are the winning positions. You think of the trades when you first come in. If I made money today, I did something correct. If I lost money today, I did something wrong. If you took a trade that was exactly part of your plan, but it lost, you have to write that as a good trade, even though the outcome wasn't favorable. And vice versa. If you made money on a trade that was not part of your plan, you need to write that down as a bad trade because long term, it might have paid off today or tomorrow or this week, but in the long term, you're going to end up losing. You're not going to be consistent. Consistency comes from sticking with the process and allowing the outcome to take care of itself. So that really helped me change my view on it because anytime I took a loss, I'd want to swap strategies all the time. But once I realised good trades aren't always winners, I've actually took a good trade even though it lost. It was an A+ setup, but it lost. Okay, I did everything correct even though the outcome wasn't good. Next trade. Was it a good trade? Yes. It was part of my plan. The execution was perfect. Oh, that one won. And you look at it that way. And that helped me improve. The actual secret to trading, and there isn't really an actual secret, but the actual process you should do is 1% per trade, execute with tangible rules, have a systematic approach. Now, some people are very mechanical, some people add a bit of discretion. That's to your own, that's for yourself. Everyone's different, but have some kind of rules in place. You need to have some kind of rules. You do this at this at this. You have to have some kind of element of a checklist so that you can hold your style accountable, so you can not make mistakes and all the trades are the same so you can learn from them. Journal all your trades so you can learn from them. disciplined outside of trading, which I mentioned. Have a repeatable routine. For a while, I would get up at different times. If there was no trades for that day, I would sleep in. If there were trades, I'd be up at 6 in the morning. My body clock was all messed up. I didn't have a repeatable routine, and it didn't allow me to become consistent. And allow the edge to play out over time. You're going to take winning periods, losing periods. Allow the edge to play out by sticking and executing with a system that you know works, that you back tested, and that you have data for. And no matter what phase you're in at the minute, if you're in drawdown, if you're winning, stick with executing high quality setups as possible and allow the edge to play out. So upon reflection, once you've applied all this knowledge and seen some consistency, I would look to scale up those results on challenges, because trading, the big money comes from large amount of capital and consistent results. If I made 50% in 3 months, yeah, I could have passed some accounts and got some big payouts. But then if I'm not consistent with that and blown the account, and then I hadn't got any consistent results back for the next year, it's not going to work. Consistency comes from having 2, 3, 4%, 1, 2, 3 or 4%, whatever, slow, consistent returns each month, repeatable on a large amount of capital. That's where the money will come. So once you've got the skill and the consistency, then look to scale up. And a lot of people scale up either in personal capital, but more commonly in funded challenges and accounts, because you can get a large amount of capital for not too much price. Build a personal account alongside prop is massively important. You don't know how long these prop firms are going to be around for. The top ones seem very good, but you never know. You never know. Tomorrow anything could happen. Always keep in mind consistency. As I mentioned, don't just go for one home run, one account in a week or a month, try and flip it. If you've got multiple accounts, then yeah, you can speed up that scaling process. But if you're on your first account and you're not consistent, don't try and pass it as quick as possible. Just try and get slow, consistent 2% that month, 3% that month, 1.5% that month, and gradually get to the 10% target and then the 5% target. Be emotionally resilient when you're throughout drawdown. That can be tough. No one likes losing. No one likes losing money or being wrong on a particular position. But you have to be emotionally resilient throughout drawdown. Otherwise, you're going to swap strategies. And that was the biggest mistake that cost me so many years, was the constant swapping of strategies. And not too euphoric when you're winning. When you're winning, you might think, oh, this is easy. I've entered a position. It's gone in my favour. Instant win. This is easy. I'm just printing money. But the drawdown's always around the corner and your edge isn't going to consistently win. It's also not going to consistently lose. So you have to sort of try and maintain in the middle. And remember, process, not the outcome. Process, you win when you execute the trade, not the outcome. You have to focus on all that build-up of that process before you start. Did you do everything you could? Did you execute the plan as you should? And doesn't matter about the result at that point. If you've done everything correct, perfect setup, everything that you needed was there, the outcome should take care of itself long term. Even if today or tomorrow you've took losses, you're going to take winners as well. And the winners, if you have good risk reward, are going to be bigger than the losers. So focus on the process, not the outcome. And that's what I would do. So yeah, I hope you guys got value from this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. As I mentioned, we're trying to get to 7K by the end of the year. I'm doing my best to offer free value and help you guys. I'm documenting my journey, putting myself out there. I appreciate the support that everyone's shown so far. So yeah, appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.